What's up, journeyers? Welcome to today's Tuesday Live training. We are talking about the simple budget method, cash flow planning with ease. We are talking about how you are going to release all the crap you've got around the word budget and work with this super simple method to really start cash flow planning, right? So many people budget is a four-letter word, and I laughed really hard because somebody was like, oh yeah, if you just spell it B-U-G-T, then it is a four-letter word. So people have this like gut reaction to the word budget, right? They hear budget and they're like, oh, right? I don't want to. I don't want to be controlled. Or it's just confusing and it's overwhelming. I remember sometime last year, I was scrolling, and of course, I'm in a lot of financial groups and things like that. And so I get targeted for ads. And I saw an ad on Facebook that was like, are you overwhelmed with the idea of budgeting? Here's a 75-page budget planner just for you. And I was like, what? It was like 75 pages. And that's supposed to remove my overwhelm? Are you kidding me? It was really funny. Because that is what people think. Like, here, if I give you more information, then maybe me giving you more information will make it easier for you, right? That's what people think. Those of you who have been in my world for any length of time know that's not how I roll. I'm not about giving you more information to see if that helps you finally figure it out. I'm about taking the important pieces and breaking them down and simplifying them so that you actually can implement it, right? So this is why I created the simple method, simple budget method, is I wanted to have something to give you for those of you who are like, I don't even know where to start when it comes to, budgeting or cash flow planning. And I wanted it to be something that wasn't cookie cutter, wasn't like, hey, here's a budget method and everyone do it exactly the same way, right? Everything has to be this percentage, right? I wanted it to be something that was simple, but also that you could kind of tailor, right, to your own needs and your own situation, right? It is great because, and I'll just do it in this. I was like, I completely forgot to grab a piece of paper, so I'm going to do it on this. You don't need a special planner. You don't need a special app. You don't need a special spreadsheet. You don't need a special anything. You can literally get, and normally I get like a big piece of paper to show you, but I'm going to use this notebook because that's what I have in front of me. And hopefully one of the bajillion pens I have in front of me works. Hey, good enough. So it is so simple that not only can you make it your own, you can do it on a simple piece of paper. It is so simple. So this is why I want to teach it to you. So let's do it. If you're here, say hi. I did the post the other day to tell me what your first word is you think of when you hear the word budget. So if you want to share yours in the comments, you can. Most people, it was like, or tough or frustrating or oops. That was my favorite. Oops. So let's talk about it. This is the simple budget method. And when I say simple, and the reason I call it simple and I have it capitalized is because we're using, I have a tickle in my throat. I'm sorry, guys. We are using the letters S-I-M-P-L-E, simple, to remember the steps and what we need to do here, right? So the first letter, and I'm going to add these into the comments as I talk through them, and then I'll go back to the description and I'll write them in the description, and then I'll post a little graphic later so that you have it. So the S stands for simplify. Now I know you're like, you're not supposed to define a word with the word. Whatever, it's fine. Simplify. Don't overcomplicate this. Okay, that means that you don't have to have 17 billion different categories, right? You can have just the ones that make sense to you, just the ones that actually apply to you. So simplify it. You don't have to know everything to the exact penny right away. You can estimate at first. Keep it simple. Maybe you just want to call it utilities instead of having a separate section for electric and water and gas and right? Keep it simple. Now, again, keep it simple for what's simple for you. So if it actually is easier for you to have each individual utility in its own line so you can see it separately, do that. Do whatever is simple. Do not overcomplicate this. It is actually very easy, okay? That's the S. The I stands for income. And what that means is income goes at the top of your piece of paper. So whether you got a paper or a journal, you can do this in a spreadsheet. You can do this in whatever way makes sense to you. I'm going to show you how easy it is by literally just doing it on a piece of paper. So simplify, income goes at the top. So I'm just going to use a random household income. This is kind of the example I usually do, which is $4,000. So for this example, I'm going to do this as if I was creating a monthly like overview cash flow plan, right? So what's my total income for the month? What are my total expenses for the month? And kind of looking at the month as a whole. When I'm done, I'll kind of explain how you can kind of adapt this process for whatever you've got going on. So income goes at the top, boom, $4,000. Then the M and the P go together. M is make a list of expenses or expense categories, whatever makes sense to you. And P is prioritize them. So you can, if you've never done this before, you can make your list and then flip your paper over to do the prioritization part, right? Move them around into priority order. For me, I've done this a couple of times, and so I'm going to go ahead and put these things in an order that I believe is a priority order. Now I'm going to write really fast and just kind of talk as I write because I only have like 10 more minutes, and I want to get through it. So for me, I'm Christian. Most important thing for me is first 10% is my tithe. And so I'm going to write tithe, and that is out of $4,000, about $400. So I'm going to write 400. And then what you do is you subtract that from your total. So you had 4,000 minus 400 is 3,600. So you're going to end up with a running balance over here on the side. Now the next thing is for me, housing. I want to make sure that my housing is taken care of. And so we usually recommend somewhere like 25% of your total household income should be your rent or mortgage payment. And so I'm going to put $1,000. I'm going to put utilities. And I'm going to say between electric and water and gas, it's probably about $200. I'm going to do, next I'm going to do food, my food budget. And I'm going to say we have a family of 4. So I'm going to put, let's do $800. And then again, I'm going to go over here and do a running balance. Okay. So 600, 2,400. I wrote 8,000. Please don't spend $8,000 on food. 1,600. And you're going to keep going, right? You're going to keep going down. And because we're in priority order here, you're going to want to put the more important things at the top, things that you absolutely have to pay for, right? Cable and internet is like the next thing on my list, and that's like $80, maybe 15, 20. I also need to pay for fuel for my vehicle. And for both of our vehicles, that usually runs about $150. So that is $1,370. And you can use a calculator. You don't have to be able to do this math in your head, right? And you're just going to keep going. You're going to keep going until you run out of money. Okay? Now, things like daycare. Don't forget about daycare. Don't forget about pet food. Maybe your pet has medications. Maybe you have medications that you buy every single month. And what you're going to do during this prioritization part is if you're not sure and you're like, well, what order do I put this stuff in, right? The things that go closer to the bottom here is things that you can live without, right? So maybe you have like an entertainment category. Maybe you have money that you're wanting to save up for a vacation in the future, for a hypothetical vacation that doesn't exist yet, right? Those kinds of things are going to be what goes to the bottom. And here's how you do that. My simple, super easy way to know what priority to put stuff in is you go, it is more important that I get to go see a movie than that I pay for daycare. Nope. Right? You immediately go, yeah, no, that's not true. Daycare has to come first. And so you're able to kind of move stuff around, get stuff into a priority order based on what actually sits well with you, right? What actually works for you? What is actually truth in your world, right? Now, what's going to happen is you're going to get to the end of the list and you're going to eventually run out of money, or you're going to eventually run out of categories, right? So one of two things will happen. Either you run out of categories first and you've got money left over, or you run out of money before you run out of categories, right? So let's talk about the first one. If you run out of categories and you have money left over, number one, just make sure you didn't miss anything, right? Think through all the different things you've got going on. You can always look back at the last month of your bank statement and like see if there's something that jumps out at you and go, oh yeah, I forgot about that we always have to pay for that, right? Like a gym membership or something. Or you go back and say, cool, where do I want to put this money? What do I want to do with it, right? So the L and the E, this is where the L and the E kind of come in. The L stands for look at each month individually, meaning every month is different. You're not going to have the same expenses in February that you have in November. My family has 7 birthdays in November. Like our expenses are different in November than they are in February, right? So you want to look at each month individually. You are not sitting here trying to create a budget, a cash flow plan that you use every month, every time, because every month is different. Every month has different things going on. Maybe you just found out your kid needs new shoes. Maybe you just found out your husband needs new shoes, right? So every month is different. So give it that attention. Look at each month individually. That's the L. And then E is every dollar gets a job. So, like I said, if you come down to the bottom and you've got money left over, you've got to give it a job. That job can be sit there and look pretty, right? I know a lot of people who want a little buffer in their budget. They want a couple $100s a month that they can just like put there and leave in their checking account, right? So one month you can say, you know what? I've got $200 left over. I'm going to make that my buffer and it's going to stay in my checking account forever and never get touched, right? The job you give it can be to save for something else. The job you give it can be to have fun. It doesn't matter. You just have to give every dollar a job. Giving every dollar a job doesn't mean that you have to spend every dollar. You just have to have an intention for every dollar. What is it doing? Like I said, it can just sit there and look pretty. Now, if you get to the end and you have more categories and you ran out of money, this is where the prioritization part comes in. You have to go, the things I ran out of money for, my entertainment and my savings for the future, are those more important than something I already gave money to, right? Are they? If they are, then you move things around and you recalculate, right? Or maybe you ran out of money before you paid for something that was really important because you estimated how much you were going to spend on groceries, for example. So you can come back up in here and say, I completely forgot about dog food. That's going to cost me $50. And so you can take $50 off of groceries and put it onto dog food. So you can rearrange and adjust. But the goal is that everything that is important and priority gets funded before the things that are not or that are just fun. But you can also rearrange. So this is the thing. Just because you got to the end and had $0 left before entertainment doesn't mean you never get to have fun. It does, however, mean that you have to go back to those other categories and find where you can pull that money from, right? So simplify it. Don't overcomplicate it. Put your income at the top. Make a list of your expenses or expense categories. Prioritize them. Look at each month individually so that you're not trying to create a cookie cutter, and then every dollar gets a job. You work your way down to the bottom, subtracting from your income as you go, with the more important things getting funded first, and with the ability to make it your own. You can shift your priorities. You can change things around. You can say, hey, you know what? Let's back off a little bit on our groceries this month so that we can have one really cool date night, right? You get to decide what that looks like. You get to decide where that money goes and in what priority order it goes. Now, originally I said, hey, let's put your total monthly income at the top. So as if you were doing like a monthly overview cash flow plan look. You can do this for any period of time and for any like lump sum, right? So maybe you want to do this by paycheck, right? So, hey, I have this paycheck coming in. Let's look at what needs to come out of this specific paycheck, right? Here's this paycheck. My rent is due, and this is going to happen. And my electric bill comes out of this paycheck, and we need to buy groceries. And we're good on dog food. We have a daycare pay, right? Look at what comes out of that specific paycheck, and then do it again for the next paycheck and do it again for the next paycheck. So look at each paycheck individually, right? You can do it for any period of time. You can also do it if you're just receiving a lump sum. So maybe you're getting a tax return, right? You're going to get a couple $1,000s. You're like, what do I want to do with it? Income goes at the top. Make a list of the things you want to spend it on, prioritize them, and every dollar gets a job. You're looking at this money individually. You're not thinking about your other normal cash flow, right? You're thinking about this individually, giving it the intention, giving it the attention and the intention that it needs to make a decision about where you want your money to go. Those of you who are watching, does this make sense? I'm going to post a graphic. I'm going to post the S.I.M.P.L.E in the description of the video. But really and truly, this is so simple. This is a way for you to say, here's the money I have or money I have coming. What do I want to do with it? And how do I know if that's enough? How do I know if I had enough? Well, did I run out of money before I ran out of categories? Or do I still have money left over after all of the things that I think I need to buy? This is the most common thing I see. I see people do this and go, what do you mean I have an extra $400 a month? Where the hell is that extra $400 a month? Turns out because they didn't have it on paper and they didn't have a plan and they weren't paying attention, it just went everywhere, right? It went to a bunch of random places instead of going intentionally where they wanted it to go. Having a physical plan for your money, a plan for the cash that flows in and out of your world, a cash flow plan, aka a budget. It is powerful because you get to visually see what's happening to your money. Now, let me tell you, this is powerful only if you use it. Sitting down on the first of the month, making a plan for the month, for the money that you're going to have that month, and then never looking at it again, never paying attention to it, not sticking with it, not tracking what you're actually spending in those categories, not looking at it again until you make another one for the following month, doesn't work. It doesn't work. This only works if you are intentional about actually following it, about actually tracking these things. And this is where most people run into problems. There's this initial step of like, how do I actually set up a plan? But then most people run into problems when they go, how do I actually follow this? And you start to run into mental blocks. You start to struggle with actually sticking to it. Or you set one up and you try to stick to it and you realize your numbers were like totally off and you're like, oh, this doesn't work. No, you just need to reflect and refine. I swear, we moved from South Carolina to Colorado and we blew our grocery budget like 5 months in a row before I realized groceries are just more expensive in Colorado Springs than they were in South Carolina. And I needed to make an adjustment, right? It wasn't that we were blowing our budget. We were not excessively buying groceries. We were not buying way more than we normally do. It's just that groceries are more expensive in Colorado than they were here. And I had to refine, I had to adjust, I had to shift the way that we spent our money so that we could accommodate the more expensive groceries. So reflect and refine. And this is the problem, is it gets really frustrating. It's hard to stick to. And that is all down to your mindset around budgeting, your mindset around cash flow planning. How do you feel about it? What does it mean to you when you start thinking about making a plan for your money? I know a lot of people feel controlled. You feel like you're being told what to do. Anywhere in here did I say, go to somebody else and have them tell you what to do with the money you wrote down? No, I didn't, right? You make a list. You prioritize them. You allocate that money. You are making this plan, okay? You get to decide where that money goes. It is a way for you to control your money and not the other way around. Right? It's powerful. But if you don't get your mind right about that, if you don't get your mindset right about how important it is to have a plan for your money, if you don't get your mind right about paying attention to it, about tracking it, about being intentional with it, then it's not going to work. It's not. So keep that in mind. If you're still struggling, if you're still having mental blocks, emotional blocks, if you're still avoiding the idea of a budget or a cash flow plan, something's up with your mindset. Now, if you can look at that on your own, work through that, great. You know, we have the Intuitive Money Mindset Society, and this is exactly what we're talking about today. I'm jumping in there in about 10 minutes, and we're going to talk about the mindset around cash flow planning, the mindset around budgeting, how to get that clarity, how to release some of those mental blocks, release some of those emotional blocks so that you can actually not only create this simple cash flow method, but actually follow it. Because again, writing this stuff down is powerful, but only if you use it. So if you want to grab your spot in Intuitive Money Mindset Society, we do still have some founder spots left. So I'm going to drop that link. It's only $37 a month for founders instead of $47. So now is a great time to get in while we still have founder spots. So I love you guys. I hope that was helpful. Again, I'm going to post the S.I.M.P.L.E in the description of this video, and I'm going to post a graphic for it later today so that you guys have that to work through. I love you guys. As always, trust yourselves and enjoy the journey. See you in the group.